Hi, Aries, and welcome to your June 2021 monthly forecast. We'll be covering Mercury retrograde, the eclipses, and a few other things. And I know you got no time for small talk, so let's jump right into it. Entering June, we're going to all be under Mercury retrograde. And for you, Mercury will be retrograding in your third house. Now, the third house is closely tied to communication. In addition, other significations include siblings, kind of short trips, every sort of like routine places that you go or things that you do, like checking your email or driving to the gas station or what it may be. And given Mercury retrograde's affiliation with creating wonkiness around transportation and around communication, unfortunately, this Mercury retrograde is likely to strongly affect your technological devices. It's likely to strongly affect your transportation. So it's really important that you leave early. It's important that you monitor the gas tank, get that oil change. When it comes to sort of the technological side of things, really make sure that your phone is plugged in, that you are deleting emails, that you're proofreading emails, especially, that's super important around this time with Mercury retrograding in your third house. The third house also has a lot to do with siblings as a signification. So communication with siblings is under scrutiny at this time. So be very mindful if you have siblings or people that you consider to be siblings about how you speak with them, how you engage with them, because there's a lot of potency around that communication. Mercury retrograde is also a time in which everyone sees ghosts from our past kind of come back to confront us with the RE words of revisiting, reevaluating Mercury world themes of thinking and communicating. It could very well be if you haven't spoken to a sibling in a while or someone that you once considered to be as close as a sibling, they could come back into the fold. If not that, then it could very well be tied to how you communicate through your technological devices and the ramifications of that. So just a lot to be mindful of with Mercury retrograding in your third. Dot your I's, cross your T's, and plug in your charger. On June 2nd, Venus is going to enter Cancer in your fourth house of home and family. Venus in the fourth house is lovely. The fourth house has to do, like I said, with home and family, and Venus is the planet of values. It's considered the lesser benefic. And so it would be a really great time just to take an inventory and audit of the space that you call home or the spaces that you call home, and if that energy is a little stale. Feng Shui with Venus in the fourth is super important. And Cancer is a sign that I affiliate with the home being a reflection of the psyche. So it could very well be that the environments in which you live very much affect your psyche. So time to do some home improvements in order to really boost the spirit. If Mars was in the fourth, I'd tell you to do home improvements to really reinforce the infrastructure of the house. That's fine for Venus in the fourth, but more so it has to do with how you're feeling about the space that you're living in. Venus in the fourth doesn't necessarily signify a move, but if there is a move involved with you right now, it's really important that you spend time in the space and feel the space before signing that piece of paper, or at least I guess it would be. Venus in the fourth is a lovely time to connect with family, to really spend that quality time with loved ones and those you consider to be family. So really make an effort to do so. In addition to that, given that it is the home, it could also be that quality time occurs at home and creating as comfy a space as possible. Feel free to use Venus in the fourth as your time to buy some sort of bath or bed product, given that both of those things exist in the home, and Venus is really tied to sensuality. So if it's a weighted blanket or some sort of bath bomb, what it may be, I'm happy to write you an astrologer's note to treat yourself in that respect. So moving on to probably the biggest transit of June, which would be the solar eclipse that's occurring at 19 Gemini. And that's also occurring in your third house. So Mercury retrograde is occurring in the same house as the solar eclipse. Eclipses were traditionally viewed as malefic, given they are widely uncontrollable and typically associated with severing. Now, from a modern lens, we don't, try to categorize things as good or bad, but eclipses do catalyze change in our life. It's not always a severing, it's not always a separation, but eclipses do usher in parting with the old in order to bring in the new. So for that being in your third house, the third house being associated with how we communicate, there's just it's an ante up in regards to everything I said with Mercury retrograde being in your third right now. There's so much potency around how you communicate and the ramifications for that, especially around June 10th, which is the eclipse. So be very mindful, Aries, given the fact that I have to say some of the best debaters I know and some of the fieriest that I know are Aries. So, I'm sure that's something that you can do in spades. Just be mindful that there is ramification for how you speak to people, especially around this time. And then double, especially if it's a person that falls under third house significations of siblings or those you consider to be siblings. So just be mindful of that. With an eclipse in your third house, the third house also has a lot to do with our local community. And so there could be a shift in your local community, not necessarily tied to a move per se, but it could be in how you view your local community, maybe your functionality to the local community. It could be a good time to explore your local community if you haven't done that, because maybe you can carve out new spaces and you'll part with your old coffee shop and you'll start going to a new one. Something as simple and mundane and benign as that, given that eclipses typically are associated with a lot of heavy topics. Lastly, with eclipses being in your third, I think self-care for eclipse season, I'm going to give every sign an important self-care instruction. For you, it has to do with self-caring the mind. Now, Mercury rules thinking and communicating, and the third house signifies communication. So it is important to give your mind time to rest and to be in your body. However, you may see that fit. If you have a meditation practice, I'd ante up on that, Aries. If you don't, maybe try to learn. I think that there needs to be time away from screen time, things that really kind of get the stimuluses firing. That would be the best way to self-care around eclipse time. Once again, biggest takeaways from Mercury retrograde and the eclipses going through the third is to proofread, filter your communication. Just be mindful about the impact and the intention behind your communication. And then it's also important to be especially mindful when you are communicating or interacting with those you consider siblings, whether by blood or, chosen siblings, if you will. Now, Mars is going to enter Leo in your fifth house of creative self-expression, children, and casual romance. And Mars rules fornicating and fighting. So it's a sexy time, to be honest with you. This could be a very good time to get back out into dating if you've taken some time away from dating. It could be a good time to shoot your shot if that's, if there's someone that you want to shoot your shot with. From a creative self-expression standpoint, Mars rules drive, ambition, and assertion. So it is a good time to just put yourself out there in general. Buy that ring light, get that TikTok going, something like that. Something that you can really positively channel Mars's association with drive, ambition, and assertion into fifth house matters. And if you are a parent or there are children that you care after, there is a lot of energy around that. And given that Mars does rule conflict, I think I just want to, just specify that this could be a time in which it might be a little rocky in regards to interacting with your children. There could be a spotlight or a focus on necessary communication changes that might need to happen in regards to how you interact with your kids. It could have to do with the boundaries that you set with your kids. I'm not a parent, so I can't really speak much to it. I was a second grade teacher though, so I know a good thing or two about imposing boundaries with kids. And so Mars in the fifth might mean that it is important to do that. So lastly, Cancer season starts on June 20th in your fourth house, highlighting further what I was talking about with Venus in Cancer in the fourth house and all of those things to do in regards to sprucing up your home and seeing how your home feels for you, and then also in regards to quality time with family. The Sun and Venus being co-present in the same house is a beautiful thing. So really level up on all of those recommendations for Venus in Cancer in the fourth house. And by that, I mean, invest in your bedroom, invest in your bathroom, invest in the spaces in your house that are most comfortable, that you consider your sanctuary, quote unquote. Moreover than that, invest in your loved ones and your family, and spending that quality time with them, especially if that's one of your love languages, making a concerted effort to be of service to your family at this time could really pay dividends in regards to your spirit and feeling fulfilled and in boosting relationships with those people. I'm talking about both blood and chosen family, of course. The sun in the fourth house could also be a good time that if you are looking to move, that you are on the prowl for it and that you make a really concerted effort and focus a lot of your energy towards that. Jupiter in the fourth would really signify the move itself, but the sun in the fourth is a great time to move. So absolutely big recommendation to do so. So that's it, Aries. I hope that you enjoyed a lot of energy around communication, around the home and family. So wishing you the best for June.